show is AD on the radio.
Today on the show, a man is stabbed for his haircut, and it has me reconsidering my next trip to the barber. Kid Rock's Senate run, is it real or is it not? We'll discuss who says it is and isn't. Plus, we'll talk about why we all need to read more. And I come up with a, if I may pat myself on the back here for a moment, genius concept for the next reality television game show.
Will there be singing or Seacrest?
No, there will not.
I'm in.
Let's go.
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, I think part of the reason why I've always had long hair is because whenever I get haircuts, they never work out. I can never seem to get a good haircut. And, well, finally, a little while ago, I got a good haircut. If you follow me on social media, I got a haircut. And I wanted to just, kind of like keep the same sort of like longish thing that I had going on. It's easy to maintain. You throw a hat on it, you're good to go, bazinga. But my hair had gotten really long, so I'd wanted to do something that I'd always felt was a good idea, and that would be donate my hair. There's various organizations that will accept cut off hair and help make wigs out of it for kids that have cancer. And I thought that was a cool thing to do. So I go in and I go to get my hair cut, and the woman was like, here's the deal. We need at least like 9 inches to be able to donate it to this organization, Wigs for Kids, that you like. And the last 3 inches of your hair, how can I put this delicately? It's crap. Like, your hair's in really bad shape. So you've got enough to donate, but I'm going to have to cut an additional 3 inches off. So you're going to have to get like a haircut. You're going to be a short haired individual after this. So I did. And man, I got to tell you, especially during the warmer summer months, I'm loving having a shorter haircut. It's cool. And not only that, but this woman, Paige, at Floyd's 99, I think that's the name of the barber shop that I went to. She did a great job. Like I said, I've never really had a good haircut before my entire life. Like, my mom used to cut my hair with a bowl and some kitchen scissors. Then I used to cut my hair with a bowl and some kitchen scissors. And then that never worked out. So I just kind of let it grow long. And once or twice I went in for an actual haircut, and it was always just bad. Anyways, I was all happy, but part of this haircut and part of what makes it so easy to maintain is that the sides are all short. Like, I think I went with a blade 3 or 4 for people that are used to getting haircuts like actual men do. You might know exactly what a 3 or 4 looks like. Do you get like blade lengths done when you get haircuts, Funkhauser, or do you just go in for the old trimmy trim?
I do the Floyd's 99. They're real nice to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do what they say. I just do whatever they tell me.
Yeah, and they got rock memorabilia on the walls. It's good times. Anyways, so I'm kind of liking this haircut. And the one thing that I didn't realize is that when you actually get a haircut, like, my hair was probably about a foot long. And when you actually get a haircut, you notice how quickly that stuff grows. And the stuff on the sides got long really fast. And I need to get it taken care of. I've got this wedding that I'm going to next month. And at some point, I'm going to have to get a haircut. So I was like, well, I got it down to a blade 3 or 4. I'm just going to go really short, do like a what I think they call a skin fade on the side, where it fades into the skin and it's mostly shaved, and that'll be cool. And that'll last me a little bit longer, because part of the reason why I never get haircuts is who has the time? Not me. But one thing, and this is in no way, shape, or form an advertisement for them, Floyd's 99 is open on a Sunday, and they're easy to get an appointment. So I was like, cool, now I'm good to go. I got a place, got a haircut. Life is going to be different from here on in. I'm a winner. I'm a shaker. Things are going to change. I can feel it, or whatever the bet quote is. But I'm excited to get this haircut. Now I'm not so sure that I want to get the haircut, because in the last week or so, it's been branded the fascist haircut, like the neo-Nazi haircut. When you get your sides cut short, you can sometimes be confused with a fascist and get attacked by a confused anti-fascist with a large knife. This is not speculation on my part. This actually happened this past week just gone by. This dude called Joshua Witt. Did you see this? He He pulled into the parking lot of a Steak and Shake near his home to get a delicious milkshake. And the moment he gets out of his car, he's met with an irate man brandishing a rather large knife, who accosted him and said if he was, quote, one of them neo-Nazis. He said, all I hear is, are you one of them neo-Nazis? And this dude swings a knife up over my car door at me. He hadn't even gotten out of his car, and this guy tried to attack him, stab him for being a neo-Nazi. He said, I threw my hands up, and once the knife kind of hit, I dove back into my car, and I shut the door, and I watched him run off behind my car. Huge gash in this dude's hand. Required a bunch of stitches. And there's pictures of this guy's car after the attack. He had blood spattered all over his clothes, all over the steering wheel, all over the inside of his car. And he said, the guy was aiming for my head. I was more in shock because I was just getting a milkshake. Now, this guy's definitely not a neo-Nazi. No tattoos, no clothing that could lead one to believe so. And, well, the reason he got attacked, I think you can see where I'm going with this one, but it doesn't make it any less mind-boggling.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So I'm all excited. Got a good haircut. Hadn't had short hair in years and years and years, but I dig it. Short on the sides, a little long at the top. I equated it with kind of sort of like a 90s skater thing. I think the last time I had a haircut like this, I was a 90s skater. There you go. But a lot of people have a different interpretation of this haircut. As one Joshua Witt can attest to. This guy's this 26-year-old dude who was getting out of his car, wanted to go get a milkshake at Steak and Shake. Some guy runs up on him, asks him if he's one of them neo-Nazis, and starts swinging a knife at his head. He threw up his hands, dove into his car. The guy ran off. And he had a huge gash in his hand. Bunch of stitches needed. Blood all over his clothing, all over the inside and outside of his car door. He posted pictures on Facebook. Do yourself a favor, check it out. It's genuine carnage. And he said he was aiming for my head. I was in shock because I was just getting a milkshake. Now, this guy is definitely not a neo-Nazi in any way, shape, or form. He doesn't have tattoos. He doesn't have clothing. That could have led this guy to be confused about whether or not he had Nazi leanings. The guy who decided to stab him randomly. And all of his friends went, yeah, it's probably your haircut, dude. See, he's got his hair long on top, short on the sides. I equate it, like I said, with a sort of 90s skater thing. I guess what's it called? An undercut or a skin fade or something? I've got it right now. And let me tell you, I noticed something, Funkhauser. I noticed something ever since I got my haircut. The type of female attention that I appear to be attracting
Look out.
is of a completely different variety now. Like, I went from being like this long-haired dude that everyone was like, hey, want to go burn one? I'm like, I actually don't.
Well, now people can see your face. And that's the only thing.
Guess. Yeah, I know. People are just like, don't take this the wrong way. I'm a dude, but you're handsome. I was like, okay. And then like women that look like they had actual jobs are kind of giving me glances in a way that they hadn't. And it's all
but weren't you a Maxim model at one point or something? Wasn't that happening? No?
It wasn't Maxim, but yes, there was a very, very brief period in my life.
All right, so not a shocker then.
No, not a shocker, but just very different from when I had like a foot more of hair. So anyways, I'm just saying, I felt cool. I felt comfortable. Also, my hair is like super low maintenance. I just sort of like wake up and go now. It's the best. Don't have to wash it. Don't have to wait for it to dry forever. Don't have to condition it. No, just kind of wake and go. It's pretty cool. Anyways, this guy who got attacked apparently was attacked because he had a hairstyle not unlike mine that was a bit reminiscent of something people are saying is neo-Nazi. He said it has nothing to do with the fact that this is the same haircut that the leader of the alt-right, Richard Spencer, has. And this is part of the reason it's got a neo-Nazi name. If you Google, and it's funny, I looked at this. If you Google Nazi haircut, you kind of see my haircut, and this dude who's the head of the alt-right, Richard Spencer, who is a vile white supremacist, has this haircut. But this guy was like, it's just my own style. And it's not an uncommon thing. It's a haircut that a lot of people have. Like 95% of the people in me at Floyd's, around me at Floyd's 99 were getting that same haircut. It's crazy, right? Absolutely insane. And a guy swung a knife at him. Guy stabbed him. Guy left him with a gash in his hand because of his haircut. Poor guy. His story is like, well, I guess a lesson to all of us about not judging a book unfairly by its cover. You know, you might think they're a neo-Nazi. They might just have a comfortable and easy to maintain haircut like me and this Josh guy. And he said he's going to recover, but he's definitely growing out his hair. It's crazy. It's absolutely freaking insane. Macklemore, you know, the white rapper, he had that haircut too, and he's been getting grief. People have been calling him out as a neo-Nazi for his hair. This is a guy, people are calling him a neo-Nazi appropriator of African-American culture because he had a hit and a blade 2 on the sides. Like, forget this poor guy's 15 years of hard work that went into his success. And I'm not a fan of Macklemore's music, but like, the guy worked long and hard as an independent artist without a major label, without any support, without anyone backing him financially to get where he is. Forget the 15 years of hard work that went into his success. Forget that he wrote the anthem of inclusivity, same love. About why people of different sexualities deserve the same rights as everybody else. It was an anthem. People are so quick to forget, calling him out online as having a neo-Nazi haircut. It's like, you idiot. This guy stood up for the rights of everyone more than pretty much anyone else. Forget that he has a song called White Privilege, where he acknowledges the fact that he's white and he's gotten an easy ride because of it. Forget that he's just making the music that he loves and pursuing a dream. His hair is short on the sides. He's a Nazi sympathizer. He's a Nazi. A Nazi, I tell you. Nazi. I bet he did not see that one coming. Money making, skills on the mic. Give me paid every day and provided the battle. Just bow down, better act like you know.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950. Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on.
So this poor guy, Joshua Witt, I think his name was, gets stabbed for having a neo-Nazi haircut. Stabbed. Someone ran up to him, said, "Are you one of them neo-Nazis?" Took a swing at him with a knife, left a gash in his hand. And the only thing that could have led anyone to believe that he might have been a neo-Nazi is that he had this haircut with the short sides that a lot of people have deemed a neo-Nazi haircut. Macklemore, the white rapper, the guy that wrote the song Same Love about same-sex relationships and how marital equality was a moral imperative for our country. The guy that wrote a song about his white privilege and how it wasn't fair is getting grief online for being a neo-Nazi sympathizer because of his haircut. Macklemore is like one of the most outspokenly liberal people on the face of the planet. He's a supporter of Black Lives Matter. He's in no way, shape, or form a Nazi sympathizer. He's actually a bit of a white apologist. You know, he had that song White Privilege. He is all about everything being equal for everyone. And he was kind of sporting enough about it. He denounced his haircut. He was like, I grew it out a while ago. But I got to tell you, I'm going to a wedding next month and I need to get a haircut. And I am seriously reconsidering the previous shaving of the old sides. Like I said, it was nice. It was neat. I've had long hair forever. And I was enjoying the change. Before I got a haircut, I was called Cousin It. I was called Captain Caveman. And I finally decided to get a haircut. Turns out I like it. And all of a sudden, I'm in danger of getting knifed because short hair on the sides equals Hitler Youth. Couple that with the fact that I'm blonde-haired and of Germanic descent and enjoy the same milkshakes that this kid was going to get. And I have a serious problem, my friend. It really did make me think, though. It did make me think that fear of physical attack because of your outward appearance is what people who did not win the genetic lottery of whiteness have to deal with every day. I mean, you and I have talked in the past about how I got into talk radio. I was X'd out of a talk radio job that I was more than qualified for. You look at my resume, you go, this guy's got the ratings, this guy's got the firepower, this guy has the on-air chops. There is nothing that would say this guy shouldn't have this job. And I was told, yeah, you kind of look like an overgrown skateboarding kid that should be hanging around outside of a 7-Eleven. The management upstairs will never go for it. And I went, that's ridiculous. And I went to bed mad, and I woke up mad the next day, and I went to bed mad the day after that, and I woke up mad the next day. I was irate that I'd been X'd out of a job that I was overqualified for because of the way I looked. And that made me go, wow, I can get a haircut and start wearing sweater vests. And eventually, people won't hold that prejudice against me. But imagine being born into a color of skin where that was just the reality. Part of your outward appearance that you had no control over was going to keep you from doing something that you loved, were passionate about, and good at. It was such a piece of perspective when that happened to me. And now, considering a haircut that could leave me open to physical attack. Oh. Again, another useful piece of perspective. People who did not win the genetic lottery and wind up white and male in America have to deal with this every single day. And it's ridiculous that this is the case. Race equality, this was supposed to be Abraham Lincoln's problem. It should have been done after Gettysburg. The fact that it's something that we're dealing with in 2017, it's ridiculous. It's backward. It's like having to deal with the bubonic plague or polio or life before penicillin or the telephone. It's absolute garbage. Yet here we are, devolved to that point. Now, one thing this past week has taught me, in the wake of Charlottesville, in the wake of an act of domestic terrorism and murder by a white supremacist that left a woman dead, in the wake of people getting stabbed for their haircut because it looks like something a Hitler Youth type would wear, one thing that has become clear is that you, if you've listened to this show for any length of time, I would imagine that we're in the same boat. We're in the lonely position of common sense. See, this show is carried on several different radio stations. Some lean a little more or a lot more right. Some lean a little more, a lot more left. The hate mail, the tweets and whatnot that I've gotten over the past week shows that people have taken a nasty turn for the extreme these days, which we knew, but it's just a reminder, it's there. I got grief from people on the left Do you remember, I guess it was right after this all happened on Monday or Tuesday, we took a moment in the wake of senseless tragedy and violence to remember and quote and honor the ideas of Martin Luther King. And I got grief from people on the left for it. Apparently, I had the unmitigated white male Aryan privilege to suggest that in this time of turmoil, we look to the teachings of Dr. King. I had the hubris to suggest that as a peaceful, nonviolent type, the way I am, I like the idea of Martin Luther King's nonviolent approach for a number of reasons. Probably mostly because you'd be hard-pressed to name anyone in modern history who has done more to move us toward equality than Martin Luther King. And all of a sudden, because in the wake of Charlottesville, I said, I like Martin Luther King's idea of nonviolence. And sometimes those Antifa folks, I think, are doing more harm than good. All of a sudden, I was branded, wait for it, a Nazi sympathizer. Yeah. And I don't care. I mean, look, I get grief when I talk politics on radio from people that don't agree with what I'm saying. I get grief when I'm on music radio for people that don't agree with the Metallica song I picked. I've been professionally judged since I was 16 years old. That's part of the territory. Doesn't bother me. But what's sad is the people that were doing that made me feel like they were missing out on the fact that they had a real and true ally. Here we are eviscerating Trump's apologist stance and neo-Nazis on the air. And what happens? People who feel like they're engaged in the fight for equality are so eager to be angry that they're alienating an ally, me. And you're not going to alienate me. Not from the idea of equality. I'll always be dedicated to the idea that all of us were created equal. But when a person bickers that way, when a person name calls, look, being called a Nazi sympathizer, you can call me a lot of things. That's one of the few that might get my back up a little bit, though. Because you're actually calling me evil. And like I said, it's not a big deal to me. But it saddens me because when a person bickers with a potential ally, an ally against a real evil that is willing to take lives in 2017, the way it happened last weekend in Charlottesville, it makes me feel like that evil is winning. When I'm here speaking out against neo-Nazis and you're there speaking out against neo-Nazis, and all of a sudden you go after me for not being neo-Nazi enough, you've allowed yourself to be divided. And Hitler and Mussolini and the architects of apartheid, that's what they used. They used division to gain power. And in a sad way, I feel like the smarmy little losers, the country club polo shirt wearing virgin doofuses that have taken up the standard of the Nazi flag of the swastika, I feel like that's a little victory for them. I feel like they've got a million teeny tiny little racist tents being pitched in their pants when this sort of thing goes on. So I don't care. You can say what the hell you want about me. But don't let them succeed in dividing you from the people that are fighting for the same things. Don't let them succeed in dividing you. Don't let them succeed in dividing us. Look, all of us, we all want to throw a punch a Nazi. It is an inherently satisfying thing to think of. You think of seeing somebody rocking a swastika, and you think, I'm going to exact a little well-deserved street justice. Kaplow. That'd be awesome. But let's be real here. This new version of Nazi doofus that we saw on the street in Charlottesville, the vast majority of them are not really about physically standing up for their warped principles. They're trying to goad a response out of you. Same way the Westboro Baptist Church does. Westboro Baptist Church, they're those folks that show up with the God hates the gay slur that rhymes with the name of the most hilarious comedian of all time, Bob Saget. Signs.
He's not really that funny.
Yeah, go with me on this one. But the Westboro Baptist Church were started by a lawyer, and what they're doing is trolling for lawsuits. They're hoping that you throat punch them. They're hoping that you heave a brick because they're going to sue you. They're going to sue the police force of the town. They're going to sue the city. And it's interesting. Our boy Clay, blues harmonica player extraordinaire who often contributes to the show, pointed out that the white supremacists showed up with shields and helmets and body cameras. Body cameras hoping to provoke attacks. They had a permit. Clay said, imagine if the First Amendment had been protected. The racists have their little march. The cops protect their permitted speech. Cops keep counter-protesters and the racists separated, and that poor woman would still be alive. That poor woman would still be alive, and that's how it's supposed to work. The Supreme Court allows Nazis to march through neighborhoods with Holocaust survivors in them. And it's a hateful, ugly, wrong thing. But this is America, and it's protected. They're there to provoke violence. They're there to get your goat. They're there to divide us. Don't allow yourself to be divided. Like I said, got a lot of grief from people on the left. And then the people on the right gave me more than my fair amount of side eye for not being opposed enough to the Antifa folks. Saying that I was too easy on them and not tough enough on people who were angry and moved to acts of aggression. Because in America in 2017, a neo-Nazi committed an act of terrorism and murdered a poor woman. I had a hard time finding fault with their anger. If the idea that in 2017 a neo-Nazi murdering someone in the name of white supremacy doesn't absolutely curdle your blood, then I have to be honest, I don't understand you. Look, we could all argue amongst ourselves. There could be manufactured outrage on the left and the right of these arguments that we're still having in the wake of Charlottesville, but I think that every last one of us in America would do well to stop, close our mouths, turn off the computer, put down the phone, open our ear, listen to what the family of Heather Hare, the poor woman who was murdered in a terroristic attack of hate, had to say. Many people have been using her death to score political points, but her family has handled this with such grace. It's beautifully unique in this ultimately polarized time. When people on both sides would like nothing more than to use members of her family to launch attacks. And they wouldn't give into it. I don't know if you caught it. But this is the best piece of advice that I think we were given in the wake of Charlottesville. Her father, Mark Hare, said, "We need to stop all this stuff and just forgive each other. I think that's what the Lord would want us to do, is stop, just love one another."
You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away. Radio. 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you my musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again. Nobody rock a body better than me. Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you my
Hey, Funkhauser.
What?
Can you name some authors?
Oh, did you see the solar eclipse today, by the way? That happened.
It's a lot like nighttime.
Can I name some what now?
Authors.
Stephen King,
There you go. That's one.
Michael Crichton.
Sure, yeah. There you go. There's another.
Tom Clancy.
Oh, yeah. That's three.
That's it.
You know how you're very different from the vast majority of Americans? Or not the vast majority of Americans, but a shockingly large number of Americans?
They can't do one?
They can't name one. You want to put 30 seconds on the clock, Funkhauser?
All right.
Count me in. I'm going to see how many authors I can name in 30 seconds.
And 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so Stephen King, you started with him. I like him. Harry Potter woman, J.K. Rowling, James Patterson, George R.R. Martin, Mark Twain, love Mark Twain, Charles Dickens, Neil Gaiman, J.R.R. Tolkien, William Shakespeare, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Roald Dahl, Ernest Hemingway, Arthur Conan Doyle, Vladimir Nabokov, C.S. Lewis, Agatha Christie, Ray Bradbury, Dan Brown, Kurt Vonnegut, Isaac Asimov, Edgar Allan Poe, Franz Kafka.
Enough. That's it.
Okay.
30. Jeez.
Okay.
20.
Dr. Seuss.
1. 20.
Did you count Dr. Seuss? I want you to count Dr.
Yeah,
Seuss.
21. All right. Good for you.
All right.
You're a reader.
Thanks. John Steinbeck. I'm not like... here's the thing. I bring this up because, well, like I said, it's apparently 1 in 5 Americans. Like, I know being a moron is really in vogue right now. Like, dumbness is really fashionable. But this according to this new survey, 1 out of 5 people can't name a single author. Not Shakespeare, not Twain, not Rowling, not even Charles Schultz and Dr. Seuss. Same survey finds that 15% of people say they don't read books because they're too hard to understand. Yeah. Oh, you hear something like that and you begin to understand why there's a resurgence in anti-Semitism and neo-Nazism and all that. Like, they're inherently stupid things to be involved with. And see, I feel dumber all the time. If I don't read, I feel dumb. I don't have to read some weighty tome to feel intelligent. I just have to read. And like over the last couple of months, I just haven't had the time. I just haven't. Like, I wake up, I work in bed, I toddle into the studio, I do this show, and then I think I'm working the entire rest of the day until I stop for lunch. And then, anyways, I'm not trying to say that I work a lot. I'm just saying that with my schedule, I haven't gotten much of a chance to read. Please read. And I'm saying this to myself. You know how when you don't work out as much, you're not as buff, Funkhauser?
Uh-huh.
You know, if you stop doing all those curls and sit-ups.
I could tell. I haven't done TRX in a couple of weeks. I could tell. Yeah. Thanks for
all
rubbing
that
it
TRX.
in.
Yeah, all that TRX yoga you haven't been doing. You notice something, right? Like, that thing that was once taut and muscular is now slack and flabby. And the same goes for your brain. And this isn't just me hypothesizing here about being smart.
After school special.
Yeah, they did these studies where they kind of like looked at medical students studying for an exam, and the parts of their brain that were retaining knowledge and good at retaining knowledge were all sorts of developed and up in the game and amazing. And then when they stopped studying for those exams, same brain scans revealed that those parts of the brain aren't as up in the game anymore. Those neural pathways start to close up and you start to not be able to think as well and as quickly and all of the above. And there's a reason why when I don't read, I feel stupider. It's because part of my brain really is
more stupid.
I like stupider. I know it's not the grammatically correct thing to do, but I guess I'm not doing well. No, I am supporting my own argument. I are stupider than am used to be or something because I'm not reading. Read. If people read, they'll be smart. If people are smart, they'll realize that things like anti-Semitism, being a neo-Nazi, racism, all of the above are just... Oh, there I am, unable to find the proper... You know what's funny? I heard Alec Baldwin the other day talking about how he does his impersonation of Trump, because people like, oh, your impersonation of Trump is really sort of like bang on. And he said, well, you know what I realized Trump does? He always looks for a better word and never refines it. And so like his impersonation of Trump goes, it's really fantastic. It's really terrific. It's really fantastic and terrific because, you know, limited vocab, I guess, is the idea. But now whenever I can't find the right word, immediately I'm just like, oh, Alec Baldwin would think I'm a dumbass. Not that that matters in a cosmic sense. But anyways, read, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. And I'm reminding myself, read, open those neural pathways in your brain, dive into a book.
I wonder what's on the best-selling list right now. Do you ever look at those lists? Do you read those kinds of things?
Nah, I do bestsellers. Don't do
Grocery
a ton
store
for me.
stuff? Nope.
Yeah, no, not so much. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I've never picked the book I was going to read off of what's selling, I guess. Which is interesting because it's kind of like the charts. Like you and I become aware of records because they're successful, because they're selling, because they're being played on the radio. And we go, oh, this is a number one record. And we listen to it. But like, I've never really applied that same kind of approach to what I consume as a reader. I never go to the library and go, what's the number one bestseller? Oprah's book club, man, that thing sells some copies. I think it's well, I guess you become a number one bestseller when you make Oprah's book club. I don't know. I wish we would read. Hey, you know this idea that Ted Nugent is running for Senate?
Uh-huh.
And he said he's deadly serious about it. And in 2017, we go, hey, literally anything is possible. Why the hell not?
Well,
someone very close
have
to
laughed.
Someone you know who was it that said don't treat this idea of Kid Rock running for Senate as a joke? It was some Democratic opposition. It'll come to me. I can't remember exactly who it was right now, but
Jesse the Body. He did it, didn't he?
No, a lot of people joked when Kid Rock said he was running for Senate, and the folks on the left, the Democrats, went. There was one person who went, don't discount this guy. He could be a very real threat to your Senate race. Take this seriously.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
All right, so there's this idea of Kid Rock running for Senate. He would be the Republican senator from Michigan. A lot of people, Funkhauser, what did you do when I told you this?
Giggled.
Well, there's at least one politician on the left, Senator Elizabeth Warren, who said, hey, don't lose your seat to Kid Rock because you don't take him seriously enough as a threat. And we'll get into the whole situation of whether or not
she's probably
Kid
still
Rock,
playing his CD in her car.
Hey, why not? I mean, here's the thing about Kid Rock. This is what, and we bring him up a lot on the show, but it's only because he's been the voice of political reason. And I really hope that he doesn't get involved professionally in politics, because I think he's a powerful and reasonable voice. I know. There's people going to be like, he went to the White House and hung out with Trump, and, it was all just one. This is a guy who has donated millions of dollars personally to social programs within Detroit. This is a guy who single-handedly saved the Detroit Philharmonic. This is a guy who has fed and clothed the poor of Detroit. This is a guy who legitimately cares about people. And for that reason, I like him. This is a guy who campaigned for Obama and then wasn't so attached to identity politics that when he didn't like the job Obama did in the first term, he flipped and he helped Mitt Romney campaign. This is a guy who's more concerned about the person than the party, or at least has proven to be in the past. This is a guy who went, me and Sean Penn really disagree with a lot of things politically, but we still managed to be really, really good friends. It's just politics. Don't get all bent out of shape. Don't let it make you forget that we are all Americans. We're all ultimately on the same side. The things that Kid Rock says. And who would have thought that the Stone Cold Pimp of the Nation, Mr. I Am the Bull God, Mr. Ba with the Ba, would be the voice of reason in 2017, that he would be the cooler head that would prevail. And so for that reason, I hope he doesn't enter the world of professional politics. I hope he doesn't enter the world of party politics, because I think if he really, really did, then he would, well, I think America would lose a person with a big voice who speaks out in favor of being reasonable on a regular basis. We'll get into his potential Senate run a little later on. Right now, though, let's take a look at the events of today. What's up in the news, Funkhauser?
Oh, man, Emma Stone, she's no longer just in my dreams. She's now the highest paid actress in Hollywood.
Well, makes sense when you consider her remarkable ability. I mean, she's got such range. She's got this incredible ability to play everything from cute, coy redheads to chicks with red hair who also happen to be coy and cute. So good for her.
Hey, she's wearing a different shade of lipstick.
Well, also, I think a lot of the really great
different
actors
flowery dress.
I think a lot of the great actors really just get paid to be themselves. Like, if you hire Al Pacino, you want him to go on screen and go, hoo-ah! Or, De Niro. De Niro is basically, like, De Niro in Meet the Fockers is basically, De Niro from The Godfather in a slightly different situation. It's just, so I think the real hallmark of a great actor is people just hire you to be you, because that's what the part calls for. We want someone like you, Emma Stone, and that's why you're now the most highly paid actor on the face of the planet. I don't watch movies, really.
I think I know why. She was in a bunch in a row. So she just produced a bunch in over 12 months.
Yeah, I think she worked more in 12 months than the people that usually nab the number one title. So I don't think it had to do with her per movie salary. It had to do with the amount of work she did over the course of a year. What else?
Ben Affleck says the Batman he plays in Justice League will be more traditional.
Does that mean he's going to fight to defend Confederate statues? What's that mean in this day and age? Nobody knows what traditional means. I think, so the whole Batman versus Superman thing was based on this incredibly successful relaunch of the Batman idea called The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Returns. And he plays this grizzled, older version of Batman that we saw in The Dark Knight. So I guess this is just going to be the more sort of straight down the middle Batman we've come to know and love, not the reboot of Batman that he played in Batman versus Superman, which I still haven't seen. Everybody says it's so disappointing. I haven't seen the new Spider-Man movie yet.
I gotta
go see that. Yeah, I gotta go see it.
I don't see any movies. I saw Batman versus Superman, the extended cut. It was 4 hours long.
Did you watch it in the theaters?
They were throwing buildings at buildings. No, I didn't.
No spoilers. It's been over a year since that thing came out, but no spoilers. I want to see the Spider-Man movie in the theaters. I got to move quickly if I want to make that happen. What else?
The Walking Dead producers are suing AMC over profits.
Yeah, this is a big thing. Do you watch The Walking Dead?
No, but that's going to make a lot of my friends unhappy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just,
don't shake that
even
boat.
If you don't,
people love that.
Even if you don't watch the show, it's one of the biggest shows in the history of big shows. And this calls into question the future of the show and the future of all the related spin-offs. They're suing the folks over at AMC over profits. And I don't know. Word to the wise, AMC. I don't know if this is a fight you want to fight. I would not mess with the people who created the barbed wire baseball bat. Seems like a bad idea.
Did you see that scene?
No. Walking Dead is one of those shows where I'm just waiting till it's over. It's like Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. I'm just
better not end like Lost, because I don't want to lose 7 years of my life.
I'm still angry about the ending of Lost.
Really
People
mad.
give me a hard time for being mad about the ending of Lost.
I don't even care. I'm going to still be mad forever.
You know what made me extra angry about the ending of Lost was, so for a brief period of my life, I was
hell-bent relive on this. Okay, fine.
I was hell-bent on becoming a television writer. And I think we talked about this with Spike Ferriston, the guy that wrote Seinfeld that was on the show. But, the whole premise of Lost seems predicated on this idea that everybody knew how this, what is the smoke monster? Mm-hmm. Why, polar bears? Why all this sort of stuff? All these weird things.
Oh, we know.
The idea was that they knew where this was going, and it was all going to be tied up into a neat little ball of wax where questions would be answers and mysteries would be explained. They didn't answer the questions. They didn't explain the mysteries. And I was listening to this really great podcast about television writers when I was like determined to be a TV writer. I was doing a little bit of television writing, and I thought I really get a lot out of this. This might be a serious career path. I might want to bail on radio. So what did I do? My in-depth research included listening to a podcast, but it was an interesting one. It was on, it was the Nerdist. It was called the Nerdist Writers Panel. It's probably still going.
Oh, I heard that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good listen. They have it at Meltdown Comics in Los Angeles, and they talk to TV writers, everybody from the folks that have written Lost to Frasier to Friends to, you know, Supernatural to like all these incredible writers, and some just starting out. And they talk to them about what it's like to do what they do. It's kind of a fascinating listen. But the thing that got my goat, like you wouldn't freaking believe, is that when they talked to the guys and girls that wrote Lost, they were like... So you were just making it up as you were going along, right? They're like totally making up as we went along. We didn't know if the show was going to get canceled after the 4th episode. We had no idea we're going to be running for 7 episodes. Like, how long can you stretch out people being
attempted
marooned?
job security was all it was. It's like, there's no way. You can't plan things out through a season, let alone 7.
Yeah.
Come on.
Very good way of describing it. Funkhauser's blatant attempts.
I still wake up every 107 seconds, jump around, and have to push a button.
Anyways,
American Idol is having some trouble getting judges. Can you believe it?
Yeah. Well, not nearly as much trouble as they'll have getting viewers. Oh, this gave me.
I think it'll do better than it did before.
This gave me an idea for a show. Because I was like, American Idol, they can't get anyone to judge it. And someone was like, you should judge it. You were in a band. I was like, not the same thing. They're like, and they're like, you should, but you could judge. And I was like, oh, well, of course, I do an amazing job at being a judge.
You judge
on
every
American
day.
Idol. I'm a professional judgy McJudgerstein. But I don't have the necessary star power as a singer to be a valid judge on American Idol. So I have in my mind, you can write this down somewhere, Funkhauser.
You're saying it, so they're hearing it.
Write this down, that today, on the 21st of August, I came up with a concept for the next big reality television show competition. You ready for this?
Oh, here we go. Okay, what is it?
America's Next Judge, and the winner gets to be a judge on American Idol. And so you have people come out and be like, I didn't like her singing, but her dancing was good. And then someone like Howard Stern comes along and goes, incorrect, her dancing was excellent, the singing was excellent as well. You're not America's Next Judge.
Most meta show I've ever heard of.
Isn't it a brilliant idea? Like, America's Next Judge, compete to be a judge on a reality show.
If the world were read more books, they would get it.
Yeah.
It's only going to be a dream.
Judge. Yeah. Okay. We have time to talk about Kid Rock going to Senate?
We got 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
That's it.
And that's it? We should probably do that now. So Senator Elizabeth Warren said, hey, take this guy seriously. He is an individual with a massive fan base capable of getting massive amounts of votes. This is a guy that has served the community of his home state of Michigan and his home city of Detroit like nobody else. This is a guy who really cares. This is a guy who, since day one of his musical career, has broken down racial barriers. This is a guy who has a black female drummer in his band. If you think that doesn't speak volumes to people that are going to vote in favor of identity politics, you're wrong. Take Kid Rock seriously. That's what Elizabeth Warren said. But as it turns out, one of Kid Rock's buddies, who he goes and hangs out at the White House with Trump with, says not so much. Who do you suppose that is, Funkhauser?
Who?
Who says Kid Rock is not running for Senate? It's one of his rock and roll buddies, but also one of his fellow supporters of the Donald.
Oh, man, it could be anybody. One of those old rocker guys.
There you go. Kid Rock is not running for Senate, according to the Nuge. Yes.
Ted Nugent says, I was right.
Ted Nugent says if you're all hyped up for Kid Rock's Senate run next year, don't be. It's not happening. He said, somebody write this down. Kid Rock ain't running for squat. Some goofball in the Michigan GOP just pulled it out of their ass and said, what about Kid Rock? Kid Rock's rocking and rolling. He's touring. He's writing songs. He's recording. He's got a full-time job, and he's a great man. But that's the GOP and the media continuing to milk this nonsense. It's one of the most embarrassing chapters for the Republican Party. I don't know. That sounds like a red rag to a bull to me. Like Ted Nugent saying, Kid Rock, you're not going to run for Senate. If you're Kid Rock, what do you think your response is to that?
Oh, yeah.
Funkhauser? My name is
My name is college graduate.
Senator. He didn't graduate.
Well, he's probably going to try now.
Yeah.
At least he's going to crack open a book, maybe.
Like I said, man, this is a guy who showed legitimate public concern. This is a guy who is not so tied to his identity as a Republican or a Democrat, but tied to the idea of doing what is right for people. This is a guy who, out of his own pocket, has selflessly helped the people of Detroit and people
Rock
of
City,
Michigan
man.
time and time and
Needs
time
help.
again. This is a man who legitimately cares about the public, and that's why I hope he doesn't run. That's why I hope he doesn't wind up being a senator.
Stay
because
cool.
I think he is able to, in an agile and unique way, as a rock star and as a powerful voice in his community and in the American community, help people in an incredible way. And I think the moment you become a professional politician, a large chunk of that goes away. Ask Davy Crockett. Now there, my friend, you go for the meta moment of the show. Kid Rock, is he Davy Crockett? I think so.